Today we are going to discover some legends and mysteries behind certain cities and countries around the world. We are going to Peru with the Nazca Desert and also to the Rapa Nui island. So, welcome back to the Wavering Wayfinders. We are your hosts, Diana and Malcolm.
Hi, and it's good to be here, obviously discussing some of the more interesting and unique phenomena we have around the world. And what I am going to be discussing today is Nazca Desert in southern Peru. So this should be interesting. So this ancient desert, which has been the home for an ancient Nazca culture, which has a timeline that started about 500 BC. So we're talking about 2,000 years ago. When we talk about the scale of this place, the site itself covers about 190 square miles. So big and flat because it's a plateau at the same time, that these figures that we're going to talk about, these art pieces, are visible from space. The phenomena that we're going to discuss today is about 700 geoglyphs. When I refer to geoglyphs, I'm talking about ancient, if you want to call them like art pieces that have been etched into the sandy ground in Nazca. And these geoglyphs are in the shape of geometric lines, animals, plants, and all kinds of interesting pieces of, well, again, mystery. The most famous of these geoglyphs has got to be the monkey, the spider, the condor, the hummingbird as well, and the numerous geometrical shapes. When we're talking about the size of these very weird formations, we're seeing that some of them are as large as expanding over 134 meters in length. For example, the hummingbird's wings are quite large, but the condor, which we know is a pretty big bird, has got that wingspan that literally covers about 134 meters when it's drawn into the ground. When we talk about the method of how these came about, that's kind of where the mystery starts, because we're not too sure if this was done by aliens.
Yeah, I was waiting to ask you if it was something about aliens, because, I mean, how can you do those big drawings? It's just aliens. Just aliens can do that.
Yeah. Well, you know, our base setting is when we can't explain something. It must have been aliens.
That's for sure.
So, these art pieces in itself, what we can tell is that they were created by removing the top layer of reddish brown ferric oxide sand or pebbles, and it then exposed a lower layer of yellow grayish subsoil. And that contrast is what gave us the ability to tell the difference between the two surfaces, and therefore we were able to see the geoglyphs as a whole. But what's even more miraculous is that they've been preserved over time. I mean, we're talking about stuff that started about 2,000 years ago, and we can still go today and see it. I would say that a bit of it is due to the fact that these are in a desert, so it's dry, it's windless, and it's a relatively stable climate. So maybe that helps preserve these art pieces.
Okay, but how can people do them?
Yeah.
How there are some techniques or simply...
That's the interesting thing is especially when we're talking about things that happened so far in the past, how can we say, if we're still amazed at how they exist today, it makes you think back and go like, man, how did they do it back then without the technology we have today? We're seeing with our technology, we don't know how they're doing it. And that's part of the mystery. So what's interesting about these art pieces is that the way you see them or the way you observe them is actually from a higher level. So, which obviously supports that theory of it could be people who are from above. It could be aliens, like the crop circles you see in movies and in random places where it's who knows what made them. The only thing that probably supports that this is a human-made structure is the idea that as though we are talking about a plateau, which is a flat piece of land. There are hills in the distance where you can climb to the top and observe these massive art pieces. So this tells us that there's a probability of the idea that they were created by a group of people with one foreman or someone in charge watching from a higher place and pointing out where and how to do this. But that still doesn't cover the point as to why they exist.
Okay, so I imagine like that is the best job. I mean, being on the top of a hill, say, well, now you do this, draw a line over there because I want to draw a condor, so a monkey. That's wonderful.
It's amazing, isn't it? And you get to be the foreman. You get to be the one ordering everyone around instead of the people who are probably like trying to chip and like get these little things working. But it's such a unique thing, and definitely a place to visit. There's a couple of theories around why they exist. Of course, the area itself is a desert, so we know that one of the scarcest resources in a desert has got to be water. So one of the early people who looked into this phenomena believed that maybe it was a water ritual. The lines were sacred paths that water would be traveling around once in a while if they ever got rain, or there's a possibility that people would carry the water and, into these etched lines, they would pour some water and it would be a ritual and hopefully bless the future agricultural exploits of the area, because it's an arid area in general. And that's why when we think about some of the symbols that exist, they're fertility symbols, birds, fish, plants, all of them signify a certain level of growth, rebuilding, positive connections with nature. So there's that, and also the idea that it could be an agricultural calendar. So a map to teach you how to plant, when to plant, and what season's happening. So I thought that was quite interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think that every culture has its own, especially when it comes to how to cultivate on our farms. You have a tradition how to cultivate. For example, here in Italy, especially in my regions, we during after Christmas time, the first week of January, we burn the witch. Let's say like that. It's a little bit weird, but we burn the witch, and it's made of old wood. So this is nothing like. It's not a real witch, of course. And we need to see where the wind goes. In base and where the wind goes, it tells us how to cultivate, what to cultivate, if it's a good season this year to cultivate, I don't know, wine, or it's better to cultivate corn or things like this. So it's really interesting that already back in the days, they need to learn how to do this. But it's really interesting that something that was made back in the days is still something that we still do right now, and wow.
That's first of all, that's very interesting. I didn't know that was a thing in Italy. And it makes sense though. I think human beings always try and carry aspects from our past, artifacts from our past into the future. And honestly, I can see the relationship that this water ritual was probably something similar. Maybe they followed the path of the water and it told us, okay, it's pointing this way, so maybe we start by cultivating this field. So that's interesting. The other thing that it could possibly be that they speak about is a astrological calendar. So just like how everyone now probably has a slight obsession with Mercury being in retrograde and such. Maybe this is an ancient way to track the stars. So the person who had then seen these lines and observed them said that they could possibly function as an observatory or celestial compass. They point, because a lot of the geometrical shapes, the geometrical lights point to a distant horizon where the sun and stars was said to rise, depending on the solstice, so winter equinox, summer solstice. Something similar to what we see in the UK in Stonehenge. So we would be thinking that it's something that might be relating to the solstices, and at the same time, even the stars in the sky, the Milky Way and everything. So very interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I mean, because you have told me that there are not simple geometrical draws, but are like monkeys, condors, and birds. So every type of drawings, and I imagine being able to finally understand how the constellation are. This is amazing, because when I look at the star, I don't really see how the constellation are. So having a draw that tell me, okay, that is, I don't know, Aquarius, the constellation of Aquarius, okay, I can see it. At least I can see the drawing, maybe I can then look at it.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, wouldn't it be one of the best teaching aids to be able to say, look at the ground and look how it mirrors the sky, and then you can like tell the story and everything. I think it's pretty cool. And of course, our last theory, the one that most people, think about, aliens.
I mean, I agree with them. I want to be that there are aliens that draws.
Yeah.
That they leave a certain message. They know we still simply try to understand if it's really a message, or they simply have fun with us, like giving just certain hints and make fun of us to see us if we understand or not what they're drawing. I mean,
I agree. Honestly, it could be. You know how you go around the city and you see people who've like tagged graffiti on the wall, and everyone's like, what does it mean? What does it say? And the guy was just like, shh. Maybe that's what aliens are doing there. They were just having a bit of fun. But these guys have some very interesting out there thoughts. Is that one of the etchings on the ground could be a giant primitive loom for creating large textiles, and that gives you that idea of ancient, massive humanoid beings that were able to like wear these large, textiles, obviously right up there with aliens. And of course, the next one is landing strips or for extraterrestrial visitors. Maybe when they land with their craft, their engines are what leave those etchings in the ground as a take off and all. So
these aliens have weird ships. Wow.
Very weird ships. I've never seen anything like that in our modern day technology. But as we say, like, these interesting places around the world are just unique to visit and unique to, just live in them and spend time there and have all these wondrous thoughts come to your mind as you witness what you're seeing.
Yeah, and talking about mysterious places and be able to see something as big as the drawing, we need to go to Easter Island and to see the Moai, because those statues are really big. I mean, really, really big. And there are in the island there are 900 Moai statues. So can you imagine?
Wow.
And
wow, that's a lot.
That's a lot. And the fact that there are like a statue that can also be tall as 21 meters, that is, wow, massive, especially because usually we see just the head, but it's the full body actually, it's not just the head. And now we are going to discover how the Maui or these statues walk in this island, because they say that these statues are alive, and they, back in the days, used to walk on the island. So,
Wow.
I don't know. It's really difficult to imagine this, but why not? I mean,
why not? I mean, you think about it, the best kind of imagery you can get about these giant statues is imagining them living on that island, especially when you say that they're buried under the ground, that the large bits of the statue you never see, because only pictures I've ever seen is just of the neck and the head. So my mind already goes, if the head is this big, does that mean underground we must see like a massive giant?
yeah.
Imagine them walking. Yeah.
Or a tiny body like this with a big, big head.
Almost like, okay, by the way, because if you look at, I don't know if you probably watched Attack of the Titan, and you have those, the Titans with the big head, but then their bodies are still small, so it's possible.
Yeah, it's really possible. Maybe the inspiration of the giants of Attack on Titans was Rapa Nui. Who knows?
Ooh, who knows? Yeah.
Anyway, let's go back to the legends. And Rapa Nui is one of the island that is part of the Polynesian family. And it was discovered by some navigators who reached Hawaii and New Zealand and Tahiti in the 18th centuries. But according to the Rapa Nui tradition, everything starts with the Hautumatu, the first king. He fled his homeland after a great catastrophe. Some people said it was a flood, other people said it was a war, who knows, but he escaped. And then he navigated across the Pacific Ocean, guided by only the stars and the winds and the waves, until he reached the Anakena beach, where Rapa Nui had a little bit of civilization. And there, from that beach, it all started. The legend said that these statues are not just monuments, they are ancestors carved to embody spiritual energy called mana. This mana protects the clans, ensure prosperity and maintain harmony. And according to Rapa Nui people, the Moai walk to their platform, so this means that they didn't drag or roll but walk. This was also because they were guided by chants and the supernatural power of the ancestors. The statues, yes, are tall, but they also weigh a lot. They weigh around 90 tons.
Wow.
But if a legend said that they walk, and we believe it.
I think you're onto something there. A couple of things that you said, just the idea that mana is what they embody, and that's a protective spiritual force of the people. That's interesting to hear, because I can see even in modern day, a lot of these cultures still speak a lot about that spiritual manner as being a part of who they are. And I kind of like that idea that they're the gatekeepers and protectors, because number one, they're massive. And number two, it allows me to also see them as walking around the island, like protecting stuff.
Yeah, and the funny part is that they are usually around the birthday of the island, and the funny part is also that the island is so isolated. So my question was, from who and from what they are protecting this island?
Good point. And weird. When you think about it,
there's some monsters in the ocean,
right,
I think.
Right. And there is those legends, because I mean, if you go back to, I think, without taking too much from the movie itself, Moana is a good movie where they talk about the idea that an island is a living spiritual being, and other islands are living spiritual beings, and Maui pulled them up from the ocean, and the sea monsters and all of this. So maybe it's like a protective force against some of those things.
Yeah, it's true. Also, when we think about the maps, from the 15th, 16th centuries, and the pirates, all the maps with the pirate used were these monsters, sea monsters. So I mean, we need to cover this topic too.
I think that should be our next topic. Mysterious
Yeah.
sea monsters of the world.
Mhm. Well, of course, we have the Triangle Bermuda, the Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah.
I mean, that is one of the biggest legends, and I really wonder if it's still something that nowadays it happens. That like there are many incidents in over the triangle, the Bermuda Triangle. So who knows?
Who knows? And the Loch Ness monster as well in Scotland. You know, we've got a few things living in the sea that we do not know, and we should explore it.
And also other things that lives over the earth that we still don't know, and also places that were above the sea, but now they disappear, like Atlantide. So who knows? But who knows?
Mysteries.
So let's go back to our Rapa Nui legends. And around the island you can visit or at least see the Moai. The most famous Moai here is the El Gigante, or the Giant. Is an unfinished statue that, even if it's unfinished, it is already 21 meters tall. And if completed, it will have been the bigger statue of these ancient statues, and more bigger than the pyramids of Egypt. So massive, really massive. Here on the quarry of Moai, if you go on the top of the crater, you can have a beautiful view of the surrounding oceans and plains, and it's spectacular because you have the giants. As we said before, it protects you from everything because it's giant. I mean, it's jobs. And then you have these massive oceans, and with the lights of the sunset. I mean, it's a beautiful view. Talking about sunrise and talking about sunset, there are the 15 giants at sunrise. Another part of the island, in the Autongariki, this part is the largest ceremonial platform on Rapa Nui, supporting 15 restored Maui standing along in an impressive line. They said that when the sky turns golden peak, you can see the silhouette of the Moai with the Pacific Ocean. So you can have this beautiful, beautiful image of the Maui statue. I think, wow. Amazing.
I mean, that's something else, because it then brings in the idea that maybe these pieces, you know, they must have been placed in exact positions to be able to allow you to view these. Wow, that's very unique.
Yeah, and also because in another part of the island called Au Akivi, there are other giants, but they are called the Seven Explorer. Here you can see that when the sun is setting during the spring equinox, the Maui are aligning with the sun. Instead, when there is autumn equinox, they are aligned with the sun when they are rising, so are complete opposite. So also in this case, astronomical things are important for the Rapa Nui people, and I think that also Maui statue were something that helps Rapa Nui understanding the stars. Also because if you think about Polynesian people, they live with the ocean, and they live thanks to fishing, and because I mean what you do, you just have ocean around you, so you need to do that. And they use a lot of they use simply the stars and the wind and the waves to guide themselves through the ocean, and I think that is amazing. It's a skill that is impressive.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that you mentioned that, because I remember reading about ancient comparisons of sea navigation, and when the people who left Europe, the colonizers, came across Polynesian culture, they had almost like a competition to see who's the best navigator of the sea. And at that time science was like new and everyone had these tools. So they set a course. They said, okay, we'll both set off at this same time, and let's see who arrives at the island using their ancient knowledge. And to much of their shock, the Polynesian culture that used the sea and the wind and the stars, they were able to navigate to the island faster than these settlers. And they never quite explained why. They were shocked because they said these guys don't even use the same technology. They don't have compasses, but yet they know how to navigate the sea like it's the back of their hand.
Wow, it's impressive. I mean, after all, technology is not that useful if you can understand stars and skies and wind and sea. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Even if I just be on the sea and look at the stars, I will get lost in a second. Like, I don't know nothing. So
Same. I'll start rowing the boat in a circle.
yeah. Well, I know where is the polar star. That I know and that I can recognize it. But after that, no. More than this, I don't know.
But it depends on where you are in the world. For example, I remember when I was in Vancouver and we were sat outside at night and I looked up at the stars and it was different. It was different than the sky I'm used to because Vancouver sits at the furthest point west of I can imagine. And I'm from quite central, like if I'm from Nairobi, Kenya, or just next to the equator, very central of the earth, not too far west, not too far east. And the sky, it's actually slightly different. It almost looked upside down for me and I was confused. I was like, why is that star? The North Star is now there? Like it was a very weird feeling. So now I can see why people, these explorers, ancient explorers said that they visited a land and they looked up at the stars and they got lost. I'm like, yeah, I can see why.
Yeah, I remember when I visited Dubai and saw that the moon was like low and I was like, why? Why is not up there? What is happening?
Exactly. It's so weird. The world is really weird.
So, yeah, I mean, it's interesting. And if you want to see a beautiful sky especially during the night, you need to go to Rapa Nui because there is no pollution. You can have a beautiful stars gazing where you can get, if not in some isolated spot like Rapa Nui.
Yes.
So it's worth,
on an island.
Yeah, it's worth the money to go there simply to look at the sky or the stars.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's quite interesting. I definitely have to visit now.
Yeah, also because, I don't know, it always fascinated me, these type of statues. When I was little, I used to watch this movie, Night at the Museum, I think
yes,
it calls.
Yes.
And it was amazing because, I'm a really nerd type of person and history is just something that I really like. And so seeing this statue coming alive, I was like, amazing. And
it is a very, yeah. I do think it's, yes, I remember the movie and I remember he was like, what did he used to say? Dum dum, want some gum gum,
yeah.
or something like that. Yeah.
Something really stupid. But that is all the point. Why? You wouldn't imagine that some big statue like that, so ancient, could have develop a language. So
yes.
it's more like I agree that it's more okay that he says something stupid like that than something so wise, because I don't know.
Yeah.
It wouldn't make sense.
Yeah, I think it's there's something to be said about what would a statue sound like. When you think about it like that, it's interesting to see that it was a very simple, maybe because it's so old, like could that be why they said that? It's like, it's really ancient, so like almost like a caveman type of language. But it is something to think about. These guys were the protectors of that island. Maybe they had some advanced language.
Yeah, maybe yes. But talking about something that is advantage is the engine, because how they do this statue is impressive, especially how they move these statues. Because there are some modern experiments that show that actually the statue can be moved in the exact way that they say that they were moved, like walking. The statue, yes, can walk, and this is thanks to some ropes that they use to make this statue moves, because the statue are on the top of the rock, and then they use these ropes, and these ropes makes them move in a really upright walking way, they say. It matches the mechanics of walking, and so it's really an interesting type of engineering. I don't know if it's clear how I explain it, but it's really like you can imagine simply those rocks under them and then ropes throwing like that's
Yeah, almost. I think almost like when you're trying to. I think it's pretty similar to when you're trying to move something big or you're dragging it on the floor and you sort of go side to side, side to side.
Exactly.
You know, like you're moving side to side to move. And I can see how that can look like the statues are walking.
Yeah, so after all, they were walking. They were walking.
Yeah. They were walking. We can agree that they were walking. We don't know who was making them walk. They could have been walking on their own or engineering, but they were walking.
Yeah. So today we covered two legends: the Rapa Nui legend about the Moai, and then the geoglyphs draw Nazca desert legend. And I think it's amazing. These two quite known but not as known type of legends. And yeah, it was fun to discover, and maybe it's also a new reason to travel to some places that maybe we didn't thought before. So
Absolutely. I think that's the beauty about travel. It's always been about discovering new places and having interesting adventures when you're there. So whether it's Peru or Rapa Nui, it's a place to visit.